It's not a sunny day, it's a gray day here in Lille, and I wanted to do something different in this video, and that is something that I've been doing in my latest tiny sketchbook, namely painting without drawing. And I haven't yet decided which of these roofs we'll focus on, but I will soon, after I do my little ritual of spraying my watercolors. I'm using my handmade watercolors, but they're pretty basic colors that I think you could reproduce. I have this little sketchbook that I made with Saint Armand paper, and I haven't done a title page yet, and I started with just an intuitive landscape, then an intuitive face. And then it occurred to me I wanted to do what I could see out of my window. So I'm probably going to do something similar to what I've done here. So these I've done out of my window without drawing first. It really is a little humbling and fun. You have to be careful because every stroke counts. So this is the only one I didn't do with my handmade watercolors. I used these Primatech by Daniel Smith that I bought just before leaving, and I brought the little tubes with me. They're little 5 milliliter tubes, but I haven't used them other than for that. So I have the little begonias in front. I'm going to use my travel brushes. These are really great, except you have to be very careful when you put it back, because the other day I left some of the hair stuck out and then they got bent strangely. So even though I would prefer to work vertically, I think for the sake of the video, horizontal will work best. So I'm going to do the white one and the roof, and the green / slate and the roof. Actually, no, I won't do the roof. I'll do the first 2 rows, because that's different from the other video I did. So we're going to start. There'll be a tiny bit of roof. I use a very light color, and that I think is the trick. This way, if you mess up, you can just go over it. And that was like an ochre. And now I'm gonna use a pinkish one. It's what I call dandelion. And it's what I call clover, obviously, not dandelion. And then I'm gonna do the line for the second row. And there's gonna be some changes here because I don't have enough space otherwise, and I do want 2 rows of windows. So here I have window 1. So I would say it's inspired by reality, but not necessarily the same as what you see out there, which is fine, because if you wanted the same, just take a picture. So I'm using a very light pink in this case, and for the lower one I'm gonna use a very light gray. So you're kind of drawing with the brush. There is also a French flag. And then still with the gray, I'm doing those 2 dormers there that are higher up. I'm putting them much closer to each other so I can have both. Something I'm glad you're not getting from this video is the smell, because as much as I love Lille, and I would rather not say anything bad about it, the stench that comes from the sewers in the summer, because I didn't experience this in the winter, so it's a summer thing, it's really gross. And I think there's a sewer right below this particular window, which for that reason we prefer to keep closed. Now what's tricky here is that on this road there's 3 windows. I don't want that because it's more interesting than 2. So as you can see, I'm using very light color just to remind me what's where. And as with travel sketching in general, it's a good idea to start light and then darken. Now up here we have the roof. So I'm going to start with this yellow ochre, which eventually we're going to define a little bit more with some burnt sienna or something like it. It's never enough space. I meant to do a frame. Okay, now I'm going in with a light green for where the green is. Obviously this is not an accurate green, but it will remind me where the green is, and then later when I go in with a darker green, I'll know where to go. I'm using I think this is an earth green, I'm not positive. And then there's green in this gutter. And while I'm here, I'm doing the inside of these windows, which is a brown. And also while we're here, I'm getting some of that light gray I have. And do that first row of light gray. It's not the dark slate, obviously, but it's a start. I'll accentuate the ochre here. And, you know, as is often the case, you gotta choose, like, what's most important to you. To me, having 3 windows rather than 2, given that there's 2 windows above and 2 rows of 2 on the other side. So I figured I'd rather have them be smaller, but 3 than larger, and 2. And the space there is green, so I'm gonna do it while I'm here. And the advantage of moving from one part of your painting to another, and this is really like 2 next to each other because it's 2 buildings, but a definite advantage is that one side dries. If you need it to dry, then it's a good thing to move around. Now on this side, something I don't want to lose sight of is the gerania at the window. So I'm using a red here. I'm going to accentuate this gerania, make them even more prominent than they are. Probably should have done that sooner. And they are on both sets of windows. And then along on the bottom there's more gerania. On the top, and see, normally one works from back to front, but you also have to keep in mind light to dark. So, doing something bold here and going with black already. It's a very diluted black. But I don't want to lose my windows here. And same here. Now these windows are somewhat different in that they have this kind of decorative touch. The other thing that I don't want to miss, because it's important to the time that we were here on the 14th of July and the World Cup, is this flag. So, doing a French flag. Just add water to connect the two colors. And then the pots where the flowers are actually gray, but I think pots look so much nicer if they're terracotta colored. So I'm changing that. The ones in the apartment where I'm staying are terracotta color, as you can see. And they're plastic, but it's the color that I'm obsessing over. So, going back here with the black, that is kind of mixed in with everything else I've been using now. Defining this roof. It's a nice, cool, breezy day, so things are drying quite swiftly. I do intend to darken that green, but I also want to give myself clarity as to what's where. I find it really fun to see a sketch come to life. It requires trust in the process. need something that's kind of salmon-y. So I'm gonna mix ochre with some pink. It's not quite, but I'll add a little of the red from the gerania, which will also help unite the two sides. And with some pink mixed with whatever is on the palette, I'm going to try and give a sense of shadow here and a little bit of the bricks. It's kind of fun to do a painting all in one sitting without waiting, stopping the video, waiting for things to dry. When your work's so small, that can be done a little bit more easily. Mixing some ochres to get the first layer of this. These are tiles that go vertically as well as horizontal. There's some horizontal, but the primary movement of these tiles is vertical. Then I'm gonna have some gray for the inside of these windows. I'm going to need some green for the plants on this side. It's time to, oops, I forgot. I'm going to do the dark green by adding some navy blue to the green I used earlier. This is also down here. The inside of the windows really varies according to what's inside in this case, and the sun is not shining, so that doesn't make much of a difference. But some of them have curtains, and some of them just have, like this one has this red that I'm going to accentuate, this brown rather. The ones below, one of them has a reddish curtain. And even though only one of them has it, I'm going to put it in all of them. I'm leaving plenty of white, as you can see, because I like that in a watercolor. Then I need a little bit more definition here. And some more black. A little bit darker on the bottom of the pots. And the slate here is more blue, so I'm gonna that gray ended up rather brown. And I also want some better definition here. Sounds like a bike. No, it's a man going shopping at the market with a cart, just like my grandmother used to use when she shopped. You know, it's you pull this cart so you can buy a lot of stuff and you don't have to carry all the bags. It's a brilliant invention for places where people don't drive much. Alright, I'm gonna accentuate some of the reds of the gerania and the flag and some random. I don't know why I put red there, it just felt right when my brush went there. So the colors, as is my custom, are more vivid than the original maybe, but you know, so what? That's how I see it. I understand that I'm not seeing it correctly, but part of me just sees it that way. And it's certainly how I remember it. So, tiny bit of orange under here. I think I'm going to stop here. It's an impressionistic and lively, no drawing image of this. Sorry, this. I have this, and I have this. Tiny, fun. I hope you try something like this.